My name is Rory Kaye, and I am the founder of Made by God Group. And Made by God Group consists of a whole lot of different products that are beginning with Made by God Coffee. And I want to tell you the story of how we got started and why we started our company. So, first, the story of how we got started. In 2015, I was in Ukraine and I was going through a tough family time. And so I decided to take some time alone with God and praying and fasting during a few weeks' time. The very first day when I was praying about things besides my own family, I heard the Spirit of God say something to me. Now, we know, those of us who have had a relationship with God for a while, that of course God can speak to us through His Holy Spirit. What most people don't know is that it's actually the first promise of the new covenant that God will talk to us in our minds and place information in our hearts. So a lot of people think you have to be super spiritual or you have to be a saint or a prophet to be able to hear from God. No, it's actually the first promise of the new covenant. Now, the little brother of Yeshua, his name is James or Jacob. And he says in James chapter 1, verse 5, that if we ask God for wisdom, He's always going to give it to us. So, enough about the Bible teaching now. Let me go back to the story. So, I was praying for the children in India. Did you know the times I've been in India, I've seen hundreds and hundreds, actually thousands of children who are homeless. And so many of them live on garbage dumps. And many times their mothers do too. And the culture in India is such that if a woman's husband dies, most Hindu women, in any case, they are not allowed to remarry. They don't remarry. And so it can be very tough for those women to provide for their family. And there are literally hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions, who live on garbage dumps. And so I was praying to God, and I know that it's not just on garbage dumps, there's all kinds of orphans throughout India. So I was praying that He would help me to be able to reach and rescue a million kids. Because you see, if they're living on garbage dumps, they're at risk for being kidnapped, for being forced into prostitution, to have their organs, taken from them involuntarily. There's all kinds of terrible things that can happen to those kids and to those women. So I was praying for God to help me to reach and rescue in the coming years a million children. Immediately, I heard the Spirit of God say to me, "Why are you only praying for a million? Don't I care about them all?" And suddenly, when I heard that in my mind, I had faith that flooded my heart that God was going to connect me with something that was going to generate enough money to be able to help not just a million, but even more children and their mothers in the future. About a year after this, I was in Peru, and the last 40 years of my life, I've been a preacher. I've been traveling around the world giving the good news to people and teaching from the Bible. And while I was in Peru, I had the privilege to give the blessing of God to the whole country. I'm Jewish, and from my background as a descendant of Aaron, the older brother of Moses, I'm what's called a Kohen or priest descendant. And so it's very usual that I'm giving the blessing. Now, when I give the blessing to people, it's like this: May the Lord bless you. May He keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may your face also shine with His presence and His peace. And when I was giving this blessing in Peru, I was allowed to do it on television, national television. Just 2 days later, I met a whole bunch of governors from different regions of Peru and the regional president. And so they just happened to come into a restaurant where I was. And several of them recognized me from having given the blessing on live TV 2 days before. And they asked me for a blessing, and they wanted to talk. And the story goes like this. The next day after that, I had the opportunity to go to a place called Machu Picchu. And when I went to Machu Picchu, to take some time just for myself to do something fun, which I don't usually do so often. Um, Something wonderful happened on the train ride up to Machu Picchu, and that was that God spoke to me again. Now, it's not that I only hear from him every few months, but I want to tell you the highlights that have to do with this company Made by God. Because as I was on the train, on the steam train up to Machu Picchu, I heard so clearly inside of me as I was looking at all the beautiful green, lush scenery around me, made by God, made by God. It was echoing in my mind, to my heart, and I start to realize this is actually a company that we should start of made by God products, everything organic. And so our slogan is always organic and chemical free. So we don't do anything with chemicals, which is so much better for your health. And I have discovered that organic products don't have to cost more than regular products. You know, we don't have to spend the money on the chemicals. What we have to spend the money on is the extra quality control and getting whatever the product is quickly to our customers so that we don't need preservatives. And actually, the more quickly you have food right from the farm, the healthier it is for you as well. So we started this Made by God company just in 2020, and we are registered both as a nonprofit organization in the United States for distributing 80% of our profit, and we are registered in Israel as a regular corporation for being able to pay back people who have helped with investing for the company. And also, I take 10% to my own family. So that's the company. And Made by God is really organic everything. We start with coffee, but now we also have stevia, which is sugar replacement. It's much healthier for you. Totally natural, totally organic. We have more than 20 different products from Israel that are so healthy for people. Ashwagandha, we have aloe vera, we have many, many products. And then facial products for both men and women, for moisturizer, for serum, for helping you with your skin if you have any skin problems. We're trying to have, in the end, 80 different products and solutions. Right now we're up to 15, but we will keep increasing that. And the goal are really fourfold. First of all, we want to have the best quality organic products in the world. And I've found out that when you have great quality organic products, everything tastes better because it doesn't have the mix of chemicals. And there's so much I could tell about this, but just for instance, with our coffee, did you know that 98% of coffee around the world is roasted in hot air that's heated by petroleum byproducts? That is so yucky and unnecessary and crazy because it leaves behind traces on all the coffee beans of something called acrylamides, which are actually neurotoxins. That's just crazy. It's not necessary. What we do instead is we roast the coffee cherries, the seeds of the cherries, until they become coffee beans in infrared light, just like an infrared sauna or the infrared light when you go outside. You know, people wonder, what's the healthy light? That's infrared. So on the rainbow scale, it's just next to the red. What's the unhealthy light? The ultraviolet light on the other end of the color spectrum. You also don't see ultraviolet light, but it's damaging to your skin. Infrared is healthy for you. So we roast the coffee in infrared light. This means we have no acidity in the coffee at all, no bitterness at all, because it's different chemical reactions that happen when you're able to use infrared light. Well, that's just one aspect. Did you know, and actually I want to discuss with you just for a minute, people say coffee is bad for you, coffee is good for you. What's the truth? Well, let's look at that. Did you know that 98% of the coffee is roasted, as I said, in hot air heated by petroleum byproducts? That's bad for you. But there's 2% that's roasted in infrared light. That's good for you. But we have another aspect to consider. What about the environment? Well, 90% of coffee is treated with either wet processing or dry processing. And let me just go right to the point that wet processing, which is the more common, it takes about 60% of all the coffee in the world. You remove the fruit and the pulp around the seeds with using lots of water. On the average, 40 liters per kilo, which is about 5 gallons per pound of coffee. That's just crazy because that water becomes polluted and wasted. Now, when you consider the whole planet, the wet processing of coffee wastes billions of gallons of water, fresh drinking water, every year. That's just not sustainable and not necessary. We discovered you can use infrared light to warm and heat the seeds on the inside and the fruit around it to be able to separate them. And you just come up with these perfect seeds that then we put in for roasting, and you don't waste even one drop of water. So there is new technology available in the world today, and I'm so thankful to God that He gave me some of these ideas together with a friend of mine in Peru who is a professor, Jorge Gavidia. Together we're patenting these solutions that will not only help with roasting coffee, but drying and roasting salmon, drying and roasting cocoa, drying and roasting all different kinds of nuts. Anything that needs to be roasted, we can do it in a more healthy way. And some of our products are not roasted, but again, we are going for having the highest quality organic products, the highest quality control of protocol, so we make sure that you're getting the best possible products. We want to make it as affordable as possible, and of course, 80 to 90% is going to charity. Now, another aspect of what we do with our company is called right trade. And this means not just giving farmers what's fair, but what's right. Right trade is an idea that God gave me as well in 2016. And it means giving the farmers the fair trade rate that they normally would get, but giving it to them right away when they deliver the product. Today, farmers around the world have to wait a month, 2 months, even 3 months before they're paid. That's just crazy. So we want to pay them the same day that we receive their products, and then right trade does something else. We want to give them what's right, not just what's fair. We honor the farmers by giving them 10% of the profit as well. And we believe that's what's right. And so if you have any product around the world that has this level of quality control that we've spoken about in the last few minutes, if you have 10% or more of the profit being shared with the farmers, and if it's completely organic and biotraceable, which means you can trace every product right back to the farmer who was delivering it, then it deserves the gold seal of right trade. And what we're trying to do with our company is have only gold seal products. So you will get the best quality, the farmer is getting the best deal, and it's the healthiest for you. So that's what it's all about. Let me talk about our goals. I mentioned the first one because that was what started this all, was looking to be able to help rescue children in India and all around the world from garbage dumps. The second goal we have is to provide affordable health products for everybody around the world. That would just help people's health. The third, as I said, is giving 80 to 90% to charity. That's not only rescuing kids from garbage dumps and their mothers, but rescuing girls from sex slavery. Another goal we have is to provide money in Jerusalem for making a worldwide worship center right on Mount Zion. And we already have a project we've completed on Jerusalem, in Jerusalem now, making a copy of the Ark of the Covenant, which will be placed there within the next 2 months, and we'll have a big opening in April of 2021. The president of Israel said he wants to attend, and we'll invite other dignitaries from around the world. But the point is that will be an educational exhibit on the way to the larger project of a worldwide worship center for 10,000 people on Mount Zion. So anyway, that's the long and short of Made by God. I really hope you'll try any of our products. Everything that we make has a 100% guarantee that It is completely traceable. It's completely organic. There's no chemicals used anywhere. And so we're pretty sure you're going to love whatever you try. Um, Thank you for listening to me. And there's some information below that you can be able to check out. And I have even a film showing you a little bit of the details of our coffee and some of the other products. Thanks so much.